Welcome to the Poplar Creek Public Library. I'm honored and delighted to introduce the mayor of Hanover Park, Rodney Craig, as he's going to share some stories with you today.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. And I'm Rod Craig. I'm the mayor in the village of Hanover Park, wishing you all a happy holiday. The Grinch. Oh, how the Grinch stole Christmas. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. We must all be Whos. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask me why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But it could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that most likely reason of all may have been in his heart was 2 sizes too small. A small heart. Oh my goodness. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at a warm-lighted window below in our town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew. He knew. What did he know? Merry Christmas. See the banners? Everybody is out. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, the noise, the noise, noise, noise. That one thing he hated, the noise, 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 the noise. I hate the noise. What a grumpy old Grinch. Who invited him? Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand the least. There they are. They're all feasting in their smiles. Look at this. They're all holding hands and celebrating. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together. With Christmas bells ringing, they'd stand hand in hand. The Whos would stop singing. And they'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years, I've put up with it for now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Oh, he looks devious there, doesn't he? And he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat. Look at, he's looking in the mirror and he's laughing. He thinks he's pretty smart. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. And he chuckled and clucked. And what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Oh my goodness. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh that he hitched up to old Max. Poor Max. Got a reindeer tied on his head. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a-snoozing in town. What's he doing on the roof? All their windows were dark. Quite snow filled the air. All the Who's were dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, said old Grinchy Claus. Hissed, and he climbed to the roof. Empty bags in his fist. What's he going to do? Then he slid down the chimney. A rather tight pinch it was, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. And he got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. Those stockings, he grinned, were the first things to go. He's stealing their stockings. What a Grinch. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Hop guns, bicycles, roller skates, drums, and checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley. Chimbley? What a Grinch. Look at that. The Grinch stealing their gifts. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. He didn't leave him anything. Then he stuffed the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. My goodness, what a terrible old Grinch he is. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, like Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. There's Cindy Lou, the baby. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree?" She's asking the Grinch. But you know that old Grinch was so smart, so slick, he thought up a lie. And he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear, and I'll fix it there. Then I'll bring it right back." And his fib fooled the child. And then he patted his head and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took, can you imagine this, was a log for their fire. And he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On the walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb even too small for the mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses. Leave crumbs much too small for the other whose mouses. I don't like this guy. Where did this Grinch come from? And he off in his sleigh, just as full as can be. It was 15:15 dawn, all the who's still abed. All the who's were still a snooze when he packed up his sled. He packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, their tags and tinsel, their trimmings and trappings. What a nice Grinch. 10,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpit, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the who's. He was Grinchily humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. When the who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. What happened? What happened to Santa? What did he do? There's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. What was the Grinch hearing from the mountaintop with all their toys and gifts? But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was very merry. He started down Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. When he shook, what he saw was a shocking surprise. My goodness, what happened? They're all together holding hands. Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzled and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, bobs, boxes, or bags. It came without packages, and he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't thought before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. The Grinch, you think he learned something? Well, what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite tight, he whizzed with his load to the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. Look at that. His heart grew. And what's he doing? He's returning with all this stuff. Himself, the Grinch carved the roasted beast. The Grinch learned something. He wasn't such a beast after all. Christmas can come without toys, boxes, or tags. Merry Christmas to all, and have a happy holiday, everyone. Thank you.